In a world where singles are hunted down as fugitives and transformed into animals, this single man finds himself being the least likable man on Earth. Will he find his saving grace or turn into a loveless animal?
Hello, welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review a black comedy sci-fi film, The Lobster.
The movie begins when David, an architect, is being assessed by a hotel staff. Before any of this begins, there is no ordinary hotel, nor an ordinary world that we know of. The movie is set in a future dystopian world where being single might be the worst thing that may happen to you. In this world, not being in a relationship is considered a crime. One must always be with their partner or else will be arrested if caught alone in public places. Those who had just come out of a relationship must go to the hotel where they are given a chance to find a new romantic partner within 45 days. They must find compatible partners through similar quirks and minor conditions. If they failed, they will be transformed into the animal of their choice. Now and then the hotel's occupants get the opportunity to add extra days by hunting these outcasts, or as they call them, loners. For every loner they hunt, they gain an extra day. These loners used to be occupants of this hotel, but failed to find their partners and escaped to the woods as they refused to turn into an animal. Once someone has found their pair, they will be recognized as a couple by the hotel and spend a 15-day vacation on a yacht as their final test. There, they will be given a child to care for if they are having trouble with their relationship. David is about to become an occupant of this hotel. His wife of 11 years and 1 month had recently left him for another man, so he has to find a new partner. Despite this betrayal and the supposed heartache of being left by the love of his life, David didn't shed a tear when he heard what his former wife had done.
This indifference may show us two things. This is a common occurrence in this world, and everyone is at least expecting that their partners will leave them for someone else. Or secondly, David doesn't truly love his former wife. Well, there's always option 3, where he's a complete psychopath, but maybe that's a different story than this one.
He is accompanied by his brother, who had transformed into a dog after failing to fall in love. After signing the documents, the hotel receptionist briefs him on the rules, such as not being allowed to use certain facilities like the tennis or volleyball courts unless he has found his match. Smoking is also not allowed so they can preserve their health for hunting and their oral hygiene for kissing. As another rule, a ridiculous one if I may add, David's hand is handcuffed to his back and he has to go through his day only using his other hand to show that life is always better if there are two of something. His belt is also locked, as they are also prohibited from touching themselves, as relieving oneself is a privilege that only couples have. The next day, he is escorted to the main dining hall where the rest of the singles are having their breakfast. There, 4 women have caught his attention. Nosebleed woman, a young lady who often gets nosebleeds. Nice hair woman, her best friend with nice hair. Biscuit woman, a woman who likes biscuits. And lastly, Heartless woman, who has hunted 192 losers during her stay. He also befriends 2 other singles, Robert, who has a lisp, and John, who has a limp. These are their defining characteristics, while David's is his short-sightedness. A little later, the singles have their event where they introduce themselves and their defining characteristics in an attempt to find someone who shares the same qualities. They also were allowed to mingle and dance with each other. David finally gathers his courage to ask other singles for a dance, but failed to feel connected with any of them. After this small event, the hotel escorts them to the forest where they have to hunt for loners. While everyone is catching the loners with provided tranquilizer guns, David cannot seem to continue with this and didn't gain any extra days. He spends the following days attending silly seminars about the importance of having a partner and being stimulated without giving him the pleasure to finish.
This is one of David's most hated activities in the hotel. He can't even enjoy it despite being touch-starved for a very long time. One might even say he feels blue every time they do this activity.
He cannot even give himself the favor to finish alone, as this is strictly prohibited. He even witnessed his friend, Robert, getting punished by burning his hand on a toaster for doing it for himself. Despite being desperate for a partner, David ignores the desperate advances of the biscuit woman. She even entices him with her ability in bed, but David is unaffected as he doesn't feel any connection with this woman. The woman, after seeing his indifference, adds that if she didn't find a partner soon, she will jump from one of the room windows. Still, David remains unfazed. Other desperation has also grown more evident these days, including John's. While at the pool, David witnesses him purposely giving himself a nosebleed by hitting his head against the wall to build a connection with the nosebleed woman. John succeeds in becoming a couple with the woman and is sent to the double room. After John's successful attempt, David is inspired to do the same. He targets the best friend of John's partner and notices that her defining characteristics is her nice hair. However, he fails to make a connection because his hair is very dry and she's already turned into a pony.
Time to improve your hair care routine, guys. Maybe that's the secret to a happy love life.
The woman who likes biscuits had also already continued with her plan to jump off the window, which leaves him with his last option, the heartless woman. To establish their compatibility, he puts on an emotionless face while complaining about the mess that the biscuit woman has made. He even blatantly says that he hopes she suffers before dying to complete his act. However, his first attempt fails. As for his second attempt, he approaches her, but she pretends to choke on an olive to see if he is truly like her. David has already predicted this and didn't do anything. After seeing that he is as heartless as she is, the heartless woman finally believes that they are a match. They were announced as a couple and sent to the double room. He now has access to certain privileges, such as getting intimate with someone and enjoying premium services and amenities. However, things go wrong when he accidentally shows intimacy, which the heartless woman notices after their lovemaking session.
Here, we can see that David can never be heartless, as even if he doesn't have feelings for her, he finds himself wanting to be intimate with the woman. Hopefully, it's just the hormones and loneliness getting to him, since she's about to do something that'll change his whole life.
The next day, she kicks David's brother to death and watches his reaction. Aware of her suspicions, David maintains a stoic face and goes to the bathroom. Upon seeing his bloodied brother, David couldn't help but cry, as his brother is his only remaining family, and well, because he is not heartless. The heartless woman slaps him and expresses that she did this because she already had a hunch that he is lying. She adds that a relationship cannot be built on a lie, so she will definitely report this to the hotel manager. Knowing the severity of the punishment, he escapes the heartless woman's grasp and hides from her. The hotel maid helps him by misdirecting the heartless woman, and David takes this opportunity to subdue her. At first, David wants to inflict the same pain that his brother went through, but decides on a better retribution. He turns her into an animal. After his revenge, he immediately flees to the woods and spends the night, as he has nowhere else to go as a single man. The next day, the loners found him and he finally meets their leader. In contrast to the warm welcome given to him, the leader is actually just as heartless as his former partner based on the rules she has set for the group. She established that loners are prohibited from having romantic or sexual relationships with each other, and if they violate this rule, they will face a terrible punishment. A little later, the hunting starts and Robert finds him and holds him at gunpoint. David tries to escape by reminding him that they are good friends, but Robert cares more about himself since he only has 2 days left. Luckily, another loner helps him by stabbing Robert in the leg, which allows him to knock him down. This loner, who also happens to be short-sighted, tells him never to tell anyone that she helped him, and he can repay by hunting a rabbit for her. He immediately repays her, and there is, without a doubt, sparks between the two. While the hunting is happening, the hotel maid, who happens to be a mole, meets up with the leader. She gives her a gun, key cards, and information about the hotel, which the leader plans to use when they make a surprise attack. The next day, the leader chooses David and the short-sighted woman to pose as a couple and join her in going to the city to resupply and visit her parents. While at the mall, David, who is all alone, is approached by the police. He almost panics when he is asked to present a marriage certificate. Luckily, short-sighted woman was just in time to pose as his wife and even kisses him on the lips. In the house of the leader's parents, David gets too invested in pretending that the two of them are truly in love. When they return to the woods, the two of them continue to get acquainted with each other and indulge in their connection caused by their common trait, their short-sightedness.
Later, the leader informs them of their mission to make a surprise attack on the hotel and sabotage their work. They successfully infiltrate the hotel, and David volunteers to go to the yachts.
Meanwhile, the leader goes into the hotel manager's room. One of the loners held a knife against the manager's neck while the leader asks her husband if he truly loves her. She also gives him the gun and says to shoot her in exchange for his life. The partner pulls the trigger, but it turns out that the gun is blank, revealing the hollowness of their relationship. While all of this is happening, David found John's yacht and reveals to his partner that their relationship is built on a lie before being forced to leave by John himself. After this successful mission, the loners begin to dance as their celebration. The leader then reminds David that he has to build his own grave, as every loner has one. The next day, one of the loners gives the short-sighted woman a rabbit, which makes David jealous, as he wants to be the only one to provide for her. This marks the start of their forbidden relationship. In their usual spot by the riverbank, they dance and get intimate with each other in secret. They also developed gestural codes so they could declare their love for each other without having to speak it out loud. One day, the leader takes them again to the city, and she immediately notices that something has changed between them. Now, both of them are truly invested in posing as a couple, that the leader has to come between them when they wouldn't stop kissing. After this, they decided they cannot love each other anymore in secret, so they decided to plan their escape and live in the city as a couple. They are going to conceal their escape by running away during the hunt, so the loners would think they were captured and turned into animals. Things are going smoothly until one of the loners finds her diary, where she's writing every detail of her life and surrenders this to the leader. She finally confirms her suspicions and is adamant about punishing them terribly for violating the rule. She keeps it to herself and takes the short-sighted woman to an eye doctor as she plans to take away the only thing connecting the two of them, her short-sightedness. The short-sighted woman feels something is off, but gets along seeing that the leader is insistent on continuing the surgery. As it turns out, the surgery that she went through is not the cure to her short-sightedness, but to permanently blind her. She goes to her and David's usual spot and pretends that she still has her sense of sight, but fails miserably. David promises to do something about this and tries to find any more similarities between them, but came out with nothing. The next day, he ambushes the leader and leaves her body in his grave. Since she is subdued, she couldn't escape nor defend herself when the wild dogs devour her. During the dawn, David and the short-sighted woman dressed up in their formal clothes and escape to the city. They finally reach a restaurant where he inspects her appearance. After a while, he asks the waiter for a knife and heads to the bathroom as he plans to blind himself, so they finally have anything in common. However, in the bathroom, David is seen to be having difficulty doing it to himself. It is never revealed if he continued with his plan or if they had their happily ever after.
Well, if you like movies with cliffhangers, this one's for you. Just kidding. This movie will require you to make your own interpretation for your own ending. So if that's your thing, you should definitely check this out. This movie also features plenty of dry humor that targets serious themes, such as societal pressure and human relationships. If you think these topics are too overwhelming for you, but you still find them interesting, go check this movie out as your starter. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. And don't forget to suggest movies that you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.